3 minutes past 2, and you are listening to The Couch on 99.3 FM. We've gone through our regular stuff. So far this week, we've had the Ramble. We've had This Week in Facebook. We've had the Top 5. Now, what have we got this week, Lachlan? And how far is too far?
How far is too far? I'm going to cover a few topics for today as opposed to the just general one. But I just want to go into the first one. Long-range forecasting. So to do with the weather.
Yep.
At this moment, we can go 15 days in advance. How far in advance do you need to know the weather?
It's a very good point.
And how good can these forecasting systems get?
Well, they seem to constantly change even 1 day out from the report.
Yeah, so, what's the point? What is the point?
I don't know. The only thing I can really think of is maybe if you're planning a holiday.
Yeah, a little bit away.
To look ahead to that week. But yeah, probably a little pointless. I mean, I struggle a lot of the time to remember 3 days from now's weather, even though I've heard it or just read it on air.
It's not something that you do really register when you see it, I suppose, on the news.
Yeah.
You might go, it's going to be hot on Friday or whatever, but then you just forget it.
Yeah, if it's not an outstanding, either extremely cold or extremely hot, you're not going to remember that day that's coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking into the future, if we could have, up to a few months forecasting, you could plan a holiday in terms of the weather or what have you. But to the second topic, late night and daytime texting ads.
Yes.
Do you guys recognise these ads?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure the ones that are... Well, there's a few risque ones. There's ones still out there for get your favourite ringtone, get all that games, whatever. Yeah.
But there's ones out now where text your lover's name, and we'll see your percentage compatibility or what have you.
Yeah.
And what day will you die? Find out now. Text so and so. I mean,
can you imagine if you texted, what day will you die, and it says like tomorrow? Like, I mean. Why do they even... Like, what would people be, texting off to find that sort of stuff out?
It's kind of like those things you used to hear in primary school when people would say, stand in front of the mirror at midnight and say Candyman. It's like...
And another one is... What if you texted your name and your girlfriend's name off to one of these things and it said, zero...
would you actually break up? It's like,
I don't know.
This text said,
technology's pretty accurate these days.
All those computers have a good gauge on how your relationship's going. It seems.
Absolutely.
Just in recent news, I want to go into the Twitter dilemma and particularly with the celebs.
Well, there was big news. Well, we haven't mentioned the Logies.
We haven't.
I actually forgot to cover the Logies last week in our entertainment.
We're not missing much
segment. Yeah, well, we're not really because Alf Stewart won the gold. So the Flamin' Mongrel did pretty well.
May I just say, it's about time. I've voted for him every single year, and I've followed him on Home and Away. He is my favourite character.
Yeah,
good old Alf.
I think that the best parody I've ever seen of Alf Stewart was someone making fun of him and said if he ever joined a band, it should be called Alf Stewart and the Flaming Mongrels.
That's terrible.
Hilarious thing is, I think they'd actually have a decent cult following.
Struth. The Twitter addicts. And there's a title in the newspaper. Twitter addicts should pay heed to common decency and respect. This comes in from both Will Anderson and a columnist by the name of Catherine Denvey.
Yeah, she got fired from The Age.
She got fired from The Age. She's written 600 odd columns for The Age, and this was do you reckon it was a bit of a publicity thing by The Age to do this, as in it seems like a big issue. We should make a statement here.
Yeah.
By, put our foot down and say, yeah, we don't accept this. Is it to protect their name a bit, maybe?
It was probably by the... I'm not stereotyping the woman herself, but it was a bit of a Herald Sun-ish move by her.
It was.
To be twittering. I can't see The Age would stand for that.
Yeah, well, on to Will Anderson. His Twitter account actually has a huge following with up to 300,000 followers and members of his Twitter account. So he's doing something right, and I don't know if it's his, it's his career that, Catherine was trying to be a bit funny as well, but they expect this from Will, and it was kind of the same sort of points they were making, but Will Anderson hasn't really, kind of had any problems with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, the Age columnist actually said something along the lines of Rove's new girlfriend, I hope she doesn't die. Little bit harsh.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
That's definitely too far.
Yeah.
I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe she hit the champers a bit too early.
Possibly. Maybe she realised no one knows who she is, so she needs to make a name for herself.
She made a name for herself. Yeah. That's all I have for how far is too far.
Well, that's cool, because we're going to move on to Otis has just told me a bit of a popular segment amongst the following. Well, last week I spoke to Justin Bieber, the Bieber Fever, and he gave me a little insight to his diary. So we read out a Dear Diary from the Bieber. And, well, Pauline Hanson was a little upset about the criticism she received from Today Tonight last week. And she said, Scott, I want to give the listeners of The Couch an insight to my life. I'll give you my diary. You can pick out an entry and read it out on air. So thank you, Pauline. This is Dear Diary for this week. Dearest Diary, I can't keep the press off my back this week. Ever since the thing with Today Tonight blew up, people have been telling me I've gone back to my old ways. They don't get it, though. I've never had a rant about Muslims. It was only Asians. This is all new in my book. Ah, my book. I copped a fair bit for that, too. I wrote that if immigration kept going down the same path, by 2050 Australia will have a president of Chinese Indian background called Poona Lee Hung, and she will be part machine. Everyone just thinks I'm a racist kook, but it's what the world's coming to. This is why I want to sell my house to an upstanding Australian citizen. The damn agent at LJ Hooker told me he couldn't work for a racist. I asked him, now who's being rude? I won't sell to someone who I don't approve of, and you won't sell for someone you don't approve of. He told me maybe I should try First National Real Estate. They might have something in common with me. I like their name, I guess. Sounds inviting. And proud. Like they believe in national identity. Reminds me of something, but I can't think what. Maybe Dancing with the Stars? Yeah, that's it. My good friend Letitia, who I met in jail, told me I had every right to say what I said. I like Letitia. She really gets me. She understands a woman's needs. She always tells me if I ever need a warm bed, a hot bath, or a shoulder rub, her arms are open. She has my back, and I trust her. She's the only one who knows about my Southern Cross tattoo, too. I hope all goes well with the house. Wish me luck. Pauline. Well, very interesting insight.
Wow. I didn't know that side of Pauline.
I don't think anyone did, especially the Southern Cross tattoo.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me, really. Was she at the Cronulla riots?
Possibly.
I think I saw a flash of red.
Just possibly. In all seriousness, though, maybe a little disclaimer, that may not have been a diary entry from Pauline Hanson, just possibly. But we're going to jump into a little bit of music. I believe after the break we do have a little...